Alrighty, guys, and welcome to the last week of Blood. So, I want to kind of just make sure that we review and we understand kind of the idea of blood and what the blood is trying to tell you. So, clearly, there's directionality associated with blood, and how to establish that directionality is dependent on the mass of the primary mass of the blood as well as spines and other satellites that you might be able to see. So, in this particular PowerPoint, you could see that the primary mass is here and here as well. And this one's easy to be able to tell where the direction is because you have the primary mass and then you have this very, very long spine that occurs. So in this case, with this one, you can see the satellites that indicate directionality for the first particular blood spatter. But it's really interesting to be able to look at the directionality of the blood and then determine this idea of the point of origin. Now, the point of origin is essentially where the area of convergence occurs. So we can see in this particular picture here that the most blood is within this region. So it makes perfect sense that this is where it originated from. But if you didn't have this particular amount of blood within this particular location, you could see that all of this blood is going towards this one area here, this area of convergence that we're talking about. Now, there are three different types of impact spatter that we haven't really talked about, but we want to make sure that we go over. Is low velocity, medium velocity, and high velocity impact spatter. Now, impact spatter is any type of spatter that is created using some type of force, and depending on the force and the amount of force will depend on whether you have low, medium, or high velocity. So in a low velocity impact spatter, you're going to see the largest primary stains. They're going to be about 4 millimeters in diameter, and generally speaking, low velocity impact spatter is going to be things like if a person is in a fight and that person is receiving a beating, or if blood is being produced from that particular fight. That's going to be a low velocity impact spatter. A medium velocity impact spatter is going to have smaller diameters in terms of the primary spatter. And we're also going to see a range in terms of how much that blood spreads out over a particular area. Now, for medium velocity impact spatter, this is going to be where you have a person that is attacked with a weapon. So we're talking about blunt objects like a bat or a pipe or whatever the case may be could create a medium velocity impact spatter. And then the last one's going to be your high velocity impact spatter. And these are going to create the smallest diameter. And in terms of the amount of area, it's also going to create the widest area. So we definitely see this with a lot of gunshot cases where that particular gunshot is going to cause all of this blood to spread out in a very, very wide area. But not only that, because of the velocity, those diameters are going to be smaller. What I want to talk about next is how we can test whether or not there is the presence of blood. So there are two presumptive blood tests that forensic scientists use. They use a luminol test and a Kastle-Meyer test. Now, both of them are going to be used in order to make sure that it interacts with the hemoglobin inside the blood. And if you remember what hemoglobin is from either anatomy class or biology class, it's the protein that's necessary in order to carry oxygen. So we have the ability to be able to cause an interaction with that particular hemoglobin. And so we're going to watch a very, very short video associated with that luminol test.
Someone did a quick cleanup job but forgot to wash the door. Yeah, it's pretty. I know. But not the story it tells. Once upon a time, an evil green ogre left a circular spatter at 3 feet high, consistent with blunt force trauma, which seems to indicate the handsome young prince was hit while on his knees.